And Buck, you came along on the tour too, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Down Home, the Whites, or the family with Jerry Douglas, the three of us and Jerry would open the shows for Emmylou, and Ricky would come out and play with us. And then as the show would go into Emmylou's show, Sharon and I would go off and on the stage singing with her. And then it would end with a big finale with Dad and Jerry and all of Emmylou's band and us all on the stage for a big finale, and it was great fun.
Because Ricky Skaggs was actually in Emmylou's band at that time.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so wasn't it really that tour with Emmylou that led you to signing with Warner Brothers in, what was it, around 1983?
Actually, we had signed with Curb Records, and they put us, they had a distribution deal with Warner Brothers, so it actually happened right about that same time, right before we went on the tour with her, and then we started recording kind of after that was over, and she really wanted us to be on Warner Brothers with her, but on her record label, but Curb kind of had more control, and they were the ones that we recorded for, really. But anyway, we did an album for them, and then we did it was Warner Curb, and then it was MCA after that. Their distribution was handled by MCA after that. So.
And that was around the time when you switched the name of the band to the Whites, correct?
Well, that first
before the 1983 album, Old Familiar Feeling.
That's right. The label just wanted us to go by our family name. They thought that was more marketable than the Down Home folks. They thought that was maybe a little too
far down home.
Yeah, too hope for them or something. Yeah, too down home for them. I told a lot of people that we were still down home folks.
We were never changing nothing but the name.
But Old Familiar Feeling was your really first mainstream country album,
yes,
wasn't it? And so, could you please explain why you decided to move away from the traditional bluegrass that you had performed before?
Actually, I'll say
country?
It was our first mainstream country. The last album that we did for Sugar Hill Records was called Poor Folks' Pleasure, and it was a country record where we had drums and piano, electric bass, and pedal steel guitar on it. But we had mandolin and fiddle and stuff like that on it too. To tell you the truth, Paul, our music was never mainstream bluegrass. It was always, it was like what we always called traditional country with acoustic instruments. Like you're talking about, Each Season Changes You,
sure.
and Making Believe, and those kind of songs that we're known for doing came out of the country field. They were country songs. We did some songs that were bluegrass songs, but we also did some songs that came out of like we might sing something that Jose Feliciano had done, or Carla Bonoff, or
sure.
lots of different genres of music. We just did whatever song we liked. We did it with our instrumentation, and so we never were a real hardcore bluegrass band. We wanted, we just liked it all. Like Daddy said earlier, he played what he heard on the. What influenced him? What he grew up listening to, and his
bluegrass
music.
was always a man's music, and it was pretty definite.
Back then, it
stated,
was.
and they were some of the first girls' voices to ever enter into it. And there was a few, the girl that sang with Jimmy Martin. What was her name? Girl was
Gloria Bell.
Gloria Bell.
Okay.
And then there some of the songs that where bluegrass could be considered bluegrass or old country. Wilma Lee Cooper sang them, and they had a banjo and fiddle, and so it's a.
See, Wilma Lee Cooper never called her music bluegrass.
No, she was Clinch mountain music almost.
Mountain music.
So what we did was, that's why Daddy said our music is down home music.
Well, we learned in the house, the girls did, and it was home music, homey music.
Sure.
And that's where I first started learning, was in my grandmother's front room, because there was an old piano there. She would play it. Then there was a guy that played for a living. He was a friend of the family. He come over and played, and me and my cousins would dance. And they were older than me, and they danced a lot, and they learned me to dance. It was a home music. Never thought I'd ever get out of on the radio or anything with it, but gosh, I had dreams in my head about being on the radio and being on the Grand Ole Opry long before I ever thought it was possible. Being in Texas and being having to work, not being able to miss a day's work. That was kind of the way I grew up, and never dreamed it wouldn't, ever happen that I'd be on Opry. But through the family, us coming together with the music and their mother agreeing to it, because she came from a musical family too, of brothers and sisters, daddies and uncles all played and sung and played dances, and so it happened, through a lot of sweat and hours of practice at home. We honed it out, washed it and dug it out there and made what we do our sound, you might say, so that you could probably recognize us singing,
of course,
by just hearing a line or two of it, couldn't you?
Yeah, you definitely can.
And you asked about our going towards a more mainstream. We just wanted to play before as many people as we could, and we weren't really. We didn't feel that we were leaving anything behind or changing what we were. We did, even as an acoustic band, we used a piano whenever we had one available, and because that was just part of what we did, and so it just kept growing and kind of incorporating more and more things. And when we started have an opportunity to play on big shows, then we saw the value of having, amplified instruments and, like electric bass and things like that, and just the bigger sound, just to be competitive with. But we've never been we're just kind of a hillbilly band. That's what it is.
Well, I'm sitting here right now. I'm sitting here right now looking at the beautiful album cover of Old Familiar Feeling. It's got a wonderful picture of you, Sharon, wearing a blue shirt, and Cheryl red, and Buck wearing a patchwork striped shirt. And that album was just really something to be proud of. That was a great album. I've had the turntables running tonight, and I've been spinning some of the vinyl records, the original ones.
Well, that sound was fresh and new to what radio had at the time. We had 5 successful singles off that record. That's hardly heard of these days, but we had 5 singles, and every one of them was at least a top 20 record, and so people were picking up on the sound because it was new, and it was an old sound really, but it was new and fresh. It was different, and it was definitely lent back to the old days, the harmony singing and all.
And some of those great songs that you were just talking about, where you put the blue in me, that's my favorite song that you all so nicely sing for me every time I come down to the Opry. And for my grandfather, thank you so much.
You know what? That's Ralph Emery's favorite, too. He used to tell me that was his favorite one we ever did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My grandfather keeps your greatest hits tape right on top of his tape player in his room. It never leaves. He's always playing
great.
it. He's out there listening tonight.
Well, that's great. We're happy to know he's listening. Maybe we'll get to meet him someday.
He would love that. And, of course, Hanging Around was on there. We heard that last week. We'll play it again tonight. And Wonder Who's Holding My Baby Tonight, When the New Wears Off of Our Love. And, of course, Give Me Back That Old Familiar Feeling.
Good songs.
Just fabulous. And you went on to have more hits, Pins and Needles, and I guess pretty much all of your country records were produced by Ricky Skaggs, weren't they?
Well, all of the ones that, all of those that you mentioned were. We did, I guess, was it 3 or 4 albums with him producing, and